Hi there, Sarah Peternell here with Family Nutrition Services. I am checking in with all of you guys today because I want to talk about something that's really important as it pertains to Hashimoto's. The first thing I want you to know is that if you have Hashimoto's thyroid disease, chances are you probably have some other HPA axis dysregulation. And what I mean by that is that thyroid situations do not necessarily happen in a vacuum all by themselves. So the HPA axis is an important component of your overall endocrine system. This entails the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, and also the adrenal glands. And a common term that you may be familiar with, you may have researched or you maybe have heard from a holistic practitioner or a friend, is adrenal fatigue. And so adrenal fatigue is a term that we throw around a lot when we're talking about multiple endocrine system dysfunctions, kind of leading to ultimately the same outcome, which is fatigue and problems dealing with stress, chronic infections or illnesses that are hard to recover from. We might also be talking about, kind of an inability to function at a high level, and that might be cognitive, memory, mood, sleep, and it might feel like a lot of times it's just very difficult to even get out of bed. So I am speaking about this on a very, very personal level. I can tell you that in my 20s, and probably even in my 30s, and at times even now in my 40s if I'm not careful, I have flirted heavily in the past with stressing out my adrenal glands. And although I probably have a lot of different triggers for how my own Hashimoto's developed, being stressed out and not managing my stress well is certainly something that was part of my mix for my perfect storm. So I know firsthand, and from myself and from working with hundreds of Hashimoto's clients over the years, that we all have something kind of in common. And that is that most of us thyroid type people, and women in particular, we tend to be a little bit type A. We're work hard, play hard, caregiving, idea generating, communicating, fast walking and talking, do all, multiple job holding, kid raising, soup making for the neighbors kinds of people until we're not anymore, when we kind of hit our own wall. So I see this a lot. I see the clients, I see the women walking into my office with their Starbucks and they're just kind of buzzing with energy. I recognize this because this has also been me. So the type A personality that tends to be able to handle a lot of stress, or so it seems, for a really long time, in the long run, is really putting the gas pedal down on a lot of stress hormones day in and day out. So your adrenal glands are the tiny little walnut-sized endocrine glands that sit on top of your kidneys. And they're kind of like to think of them like your backup battery. They're kind of like your backup plan for when you're starting to run low on energy. Thyroid aside for a second, I want you to think about if you have, been kind of putting the pedal down on the gas in your own life over and over, again, day in and day out, you're asking a lot of your adrenal glands to keep you afloat, to support you, right? So our ancient ancestors, back in, sort of the caveman times, they relied on their adrenal glands and the adrenal hormones like cortisol and adrenaline to support them if they were running away from a saber-toothed tiger. Yay, stress hormones saved our lives, kept us, in survival mode, probably helped us climb up a big tree or a big mountain to get to where we needed to go. And we did this in very short bursts. But today, our foot is on that gas pedal and we are running from that proverbial saber-toothed tiger all the time. And so those stress hormones never really get to take a break in our body. And our cortisol level is supposed to follow kind of a natural rhythm throughout the day. Our cortisol levels are supposed to be elevated when we wake up. It's kind of like the circadian rhythm. Our cortisol levels are elevated. It helps us to kind of feel naturally ready to wake up. The sun is shining. We're kind of ready to take on the day. And then as the day progresses, closer and closer towards the sun setting again, our cortisol levels are meant to drop. But if we are constantly pushing on that gas pedal and constantly pushing ourselves through stressful moments and taking on more stress and not handling stress better, then we can ultimately start to create some unwanted HPA axis dysregulation. So this is kind of how it all comes together, right? So there are a number of different reasons why people develop Hashimoto's. Today, I'm specifically talking about the connection that the thyroid gland has with your other endocrine system glands, and specifically your stress hormone glands, like your adrenal glands. So if you maybe are predisposed to having some thyroid issues, whether it's genetic or maybe MTHFR, genetic variations, maybe it is a chronic infection, maybe it's some gut stuff like leaky gut, some food intolerances, and you've kind of got this perfect storm brewing, but you've been living a life that doesn't allow time for you to rest. It doesn't give you good coping strategies and mechanisms for all of the things that are coming at you in your life. Chances are you're starting to really put too much stress and too much reliance upon that HPA axis, and it is becoming dysregulated. Now, when this starts to happen and we start to mess with our cortisol levels, we are actually starting to set up the process by which we can become inflamed. Our body relies on the appropriate amount of stress hormones and the appropriate amount of cortisol to help keep our inflammation levels in check in our body. When we become inflamed because we've been burning the candle at both ends for too long, then this process of inflammation starts to set off chain reactions within the immune system and starts to send out some wonky signals that the body needs to be looking for these antagonists or aggressors. And, again, in combination with other triggers that may be present, the body's immune system may start to unwantedly start to attack our own tissues. So what may happen in a lot of cases, if we're looking at root cause or kind of direct relationships between the thyroid and how we become hypothyroid or how we develop Hashimoto's or how we develop autoimmune illnesses in the presence of sort of these type A, pedal to the metal, go, 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 burn the candle at both ends, stressful kind of lifestyles that a lot of us have been programmed to live, and we've been told by society that it's okay, we're inadvertently setting ourselves up for inflammation in our bodies, a dysregulated immune system, and potentially an attack, an autoimmune attack on an area within our body, tissues within our area, within our body, tissues, glands, organs, cells. And so this may lead to the unwanted attack on the thyroid. So this is just a theory. It's been written about. There are studies researching the connection between the thyroid, the adrenal glands, and this HPA axis that I'm talking about. There are ways to solve this problem in your own life, and I'll be honest, there's no magic bullet, there's no magic food plan, there's no magic supplement. The key is to figuring out why you're living a life like this. Why are you constantly pushing yourselves when you don't need to be? This is a real problem for women. I'm kind of talking to you ladies. Guys too, but there's kind of this pressure on women to be working harder, doing more, being better, keeping up with the so-and-sos, this and that and the other thing. And honestly, this societal or cultural acceptance of not taking care of ourselves and being a work hard, play hard aholic, frankly, is a contributing factor to one of, I think, the biggest problems with our sick care system, which is that stress is kind of the thread that's running through a lot of today's diseases. So I wanted to share this with you guys today. I've been there, and I'll tell you what, I know when I'm going there. I know if I've been working too hard, I've been going out too much, we've been traveling a lot. Right now in my own life, secret, I'll tell you, my grandma recently passed away, so I had to go out of town quickly for a funeral. And then we had fall break scheduled right on the heels of that, so I took 2 trips out of town. Oh, and at the same time, we had a flood in our house with a washing machine on the second floor that caused major damage and water damage to drywall and to hardwood floors. And we unexpectedly had to do a complete house remodeling project. Not to mention the fact that I'm busy with work. I'm busy with 2 kids who are active in sports. We're currently living out of a hotel because of the remodeling, and I've been feeling this stress again because I have a strong awareness of what too much stress hormones can do to my body. I have been focusing very, very hard on trying to keep my stress response in check. I've been trying to do a lot of deep belly breathing. I've been putting myself to bed really, really, really early. I've been trying to stay on top of drinking enough water, eating healthfully, taking my supplements, being gentle with myself and being gentle with others, trying not to be a perfectionist, trying not to be type A, trying not to worry about the things that are outside of my control. That's hard for a lot of us to do, isn't it? So I have a lot of information about this whole thing on my website. It's a blog about adrenal stress and especially the relationship to Hashimoto's. If this sounds like you, if I'm talking your language today in this video, please check it out. Please visit sarahpeternell.com, go to the blog, and read all about the adrenal thyroid connection. And if you don't have time for that, because you're just staying too busy, and I get it, please just think about today, what are some things you can do for yourself to pay attention to how you are feeling in your body? Are you wired and tired? Can you slow down a little bit? Can you stay focused? Can you reconnect body and mind through some deep breathing? Can you let some stuff go that doesn't matter? Can you just let that shit go, please? Can you be gentle with yourself? Okay, this stuff's really important. So there's no magic bullet for getting things right. There's no magic potion, no magic pill, no magic supplement, but there is this body-mind connection that you can employ. Okay, you can start right now. So thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing to my YouTube channel. Thank you for liking, sharing, and setting those notifications so that when new videos come out each Tuesday, you're the first to get them. I hope this has brought maybe a little bit of peace and inspiration to your day. It was a little cathartic for me as well to sit and talk about this because, again, as I've said, I've been through it. I've been there. So give yourself a little bit of a break today. Find time for rest, okay? And tune back soon. Thanks.